Well, hello class, and welcome to what is the official last day of the Spring 1 term. So obviously we have some additional time to get all of our assignments turned in, but just wanted to say you have done it. And I know that a number of you, you have perhaps some other courses that still need to be completed. You have projects still to work on and so forth. And obviously even when this class is over and the grade is entered, you still have a few additional things as you prepare for your colloquia. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post kind of my final thoughts on where we are as a class right now, where we're headed, okay, in the next week or so. And then next week I will post some additional thoughts on the colloquia. But here's what I'm going to ask. So I'm going to ask that I'm going to open up two forums. Okay, one of the forums is going to be where you, and you'll see this, I'll post this later today, where you will post the URL for your portfolio, your ePortfolio website. Okay, so you'll upload, you'll post the actual URL for that website, and then we're going to open it up. I'll put a bit of a kind of a loose rubric as far as things that I want you to look for in your classmates' websites. Because here's what we're going to do is, while the site itself should be for the most part complete, what you'll want to do, especially as we come down to your colloquia, so this final presentation that you will do, and I will be there obviously to give feedback, to ask questions, and so forth. Our department chair, Ed Barron, when possible, he'll be there, and perhaps even some other faculty members will be in attendance that you've had in the past. We're going to look at your website. So I'm going to send it to them ahead of time. So even though, the grade will be posted and all of that, I'm still hoping that you, and I'm looking for you as students to provide feedback on each other's websites, okay? And I'll give you the parameters, I'll give you all the expectations, what you want to look for and so forth in that, okay? The second forum that I want you to enter some content into within the next week before the term is officially done, and I enter grades in next week, I want you to write in any questions that you may have about the colloquium. Okay, so what are you unclear of still? What needs to, maybe you want some additional information on? What question, just kind of questions that, and the reason I'm doing it in a forum discussion format is because my assumption is going to be this, and we usually find this to be very accurate, that if you're thinking about it, if you're wondering about it, there's a really good chance that your classmates are also wondering about the same things. So if you were to email me, that's fine, but I bet that the questions that you have are going to be similar, if not identical, to a number of other questions that your classmates have as well. Okay, and what I find is that when you ask a question, it's going to jog somebody's memory to think, oh yeah, I had a question about something similar, but it was with this little bit of a twist or something like that. Okay, so ask your questions in the forum about the colloquia that you'll all be participating in. Hopefully I haven't checked yet, but my hope is that you've all signed up for your time slot. So if you haven't done that, please refer back to the email that you got, I think it was 2 weeks ago, from Grace Kwok under the Myra under the Leadership and Organizational Psychology email imprint. Okay, so respond to that if you haven't already. Get in your final projects, your papers and all that. Remember that you have some time still to get everything done. What did I say? I think I actually put it that I'll accept it until midnight. Or no, I'm sorry, 8 p.m. on Friday. But obviously the sooner the better, because that's going to mean that I'm going to have a ton of work to do in that 4-hour window, holy smokes, to get everything inputted for your final grades. So I have had a couple of questions too about kind of some next steps. So some of you have asked about kind of your next steps from an academic standpoint. And I would imagine that some of you are even thinking, okay, now that I'm done with this degree program, or you're, at least done with the capstone, maybe with that one or two other classes still hanging out, ready to be completed in spring 2, is kind of what do we do now, right? So some of you are asking about doctoral work. Some of you are thinking, either you've just secured new employment or you're looking to move up. You have this future plan that you want to accomplish certain things in. I'm happy to talk. So one of your classmates asked if I would kind of give some feedback on some even additional above and beyond feedback on writing in hopes of maybe going on to do some doctoral work and things of that nature. And I've got lots of ideas and things to share on that topic. Just because the class is going to be over. I shouldn't say over yet because it's not officially over yet, but going to be over doesn't mean that our professional working relationship ends, right? So if I can be of service in some way, shape, or form, if you have questions from a career standpoint, from a writing standpoint, from a doctoral standpoint, one of my favorite things to do is to research things and have information so that I can give that information away to people. So because it may benefit them. I had a colleague that I was texting back and forth with, and I said, "Oh, hey, I know your wife is, in this specific field and industry. Here's a couple of programs that she may want to consider." So I sent a couple of these programs. Very inexpensive programs, but very beneficial to the world that she exists in. And then I said, "Oh, and I remember you had mentioned that you were looking at potentially doing, wanting to do ministry at some point." I said, "Here's a unique graduate certificate program in, biblical, and I think it was Christian biblical studies or something like that. And it's only this much money, and you may want to consider that. You can complete it relatively quickly." And he's like, "How do you know about this stuff?" And I said, I just love knowing about things, not to puff up, not to, make me, that we say that knowledge is power. It's not to wield power over people, but it's actually to benefit other people. So if you have questions about things, kind of the next steps, man, I would love to talk with you about that more and find out if there's a way that I might be able to support you and serve you even beyond our online classroom, if you will, and this class being over. So thanks so much for the great work that you've done, and I know that you will continue to do as you get in your final projects. Along the way, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. And as I mentioned, I'll give you some specific kind of qualifiers and requirements for your URL sharing, and then what I'm looking for in your feedback on your classmates' websites. I'm not looking for you to read all of their papers or their PowerPoint presentations and all that. What I am looking for is for you to simply just look at the site, look at all the different pages and components, and say, did they cover all that the syllabus asked for them to do? And if there's any suggestions as far as feedback, how you can make it even better, maybe that's something that you can share as well. And then if you have questions about the colloquia, that's another forum section where you're asked those questions so that all of us can see what it is that you're asking. All right? So have a great weekend. And as you're kind of punching out these final papers and final projects, let me know how I can help you. All right? Great job this term. And I look forward to seeing the final work that you have to submit here in the coming days. All right. Bye-bye.